again with me, Ellie Teach. This is the very first lesson from A2 of the European frame. Why did I start with this? Actually, this lesson has been provoked by a sign I have seen somewhere, but I don't remember exactly where, and some mistakes, very common mistakes I have encountered in my students' compositions, no matter what level they in English they're holding. Actually, this was the text that I've taken out of the sign and have placed it here so we could discuss it. It's okay, the text says, to not know, but it's not okay to not try. Well, the idea is great, we should try, but something in the text makes an impression of it being wrong. These are the so-called non-finite verbs in English. For example, the not particle always precedes the to particle when we insert a negative form into a non-finite verb form. And what are these non-finite verb forms? This is what I'm going to talk about now. So I'm going to first erase this text. I'm going to wipe it off the board. And here I have divided the board into 3 columns for you. Let's first concentrate on the first column. The majority of the English verbs sometimes in our speech require another verb to be to come after it, to be placed while in the speech flow. For example, when we want to say that we choose to do something, or decide to do something, or forget to do something, or promise to do something, or we might need to do something, or we hope to do something, as I hope my channel would become a success, not a failure. We also try to do something or want to do something. We would like to order a cup of coffee, for example. Would like and want are equal, though this is the informal one, and these two, would like and would love, are the more formal of want, you know. After these verbs, and of course many more, in our speech we sometimes have to place another verb. This other verb is introduced with the part to do something. For example, what I want to do now is I want to drink some juice. Yeah, I'm really craving for some juice in this moment. How about the cameraman? The cameraman wants. I've placed this S because now I'm talking about one other person. The cameraman wants to drink something too. Which of the two verbs changes and which stays the same, and which one stays the same? The verb want takes S here, so it changes its form depending on the person who does the action, who wants something. What stays the same is this. I want to drink some juice. The cameraman wants to drink some juice. To drink some juice too. He also wants that. To drink, these two forms, this form of the same verb is called a non-finite verb form because it does doesn't depend on the person who does the action. It could be me, it could be somebody else. It would be always to drink, to drink. Well, sometimes we need to insert a negative part into a non-finite verb form to make a negative non-finite verb form. For example, I'm running a business and my company is quite a successful one. I'm offering you, dear students, a job and I'm asking, well, you are offered $2,000 a month. Here is the contract for the position. Are you going to sign it? What do you decide? Do you decide to sign this contract? Do you decide to work for me? You can say, yes, teacher, I decide. To work for you, or to sign up this contract. Or you might have been thinking of going to Spain, and you can change the tense. You can say, I decided, or I hope. Let it be decided in its past tense because you have already made the decision. And here it could be decided. I decided to go to Spain. These are positive decisions you have made. You've decided on something positive. You have decided to do something. So you say, yesterday I decided, and now I'm telling you, I decided to work for you. But imagine the situation is as it follows. I am running a business, but it isn't that successful. Since my incomes hasn't grown, bigger, I'm offering you a position in my company, but I'm at the same time informing you, you will be paid 200 leva a month, right? Well, since it's such a low salary, when I ask you, what have you decided? Or what did you decide? Come on, tell me. You might say, teacher, I decided not to work for you. You can't actually negate, put a negative form of the main verb and say, I don't decide to work for you, because in both cases, you've already made your decision. But here, your decision is positive, and the non-finite verb form will be without this not particle. But in the other case, again, you decided, or you have decided not to do something, not to work for me. And remember, the not particle always has to be preceding the to part, right? I decided to go to Spain. Well, it was last month I made that decision. But now I have changed my mind, and I've decided to visit Russia, for example. So I decided not to go to Spain. Because it's so far from here, from my native country. Okay, a good way to practice the positive and the negative non-finite verb form is with the verb promise. We often promise to do something or promise not to do something anymore to other people or to ourselves. I'm going to write 2 things I promise. Well, since my birthday is coming soon, I have made some resolutions. And I promise from that day on to spend more time with my family. You see, I haven't spent enough. I work too much. Not particularly on the channel, but somewhere else. And I promise to spend more time with them. Another promise I would make is like this. I promise not to, well, let's say not to smoke. It's a promise I give every new year to myself, so what is my I promise not to smoke that much. So smoking is something I consider bad for our health. That's why I promise not to do it. Okay, now what I would request from you, dear subscribers, is to use the verb promise and to write in the comments below one promise, which would be with a positive non-finite verb form, and another with a negative one. So promise me 2 things: to do something or not to do something, okay? I'll let you do that. And then please post your promises in the comments below. Sometimes there might be an object between the main verb and the non-finite verb form. For example, my aunt wanted me. Notice that we use the object pronouns here, not the subject ones. My aunt wanted me to post a letter for her yesterday. So here there is a person, or it might be a thing, appearing between the main verb and the non-finite verb form. Now, those non-finite verb forms in verb and verb structures, which are introduced with to, normally come at the end of the sentence. For example, it's bad to drink a lot of alcohol. it's bad to drink a lot of alcohol. Well, now I would ask you to take a look at the column in the middle, which says doing something, not doing something. When it is to do something and when we should use doing something and correspondingly not doing something. Well, we normally use the ing form after prepositions. For example, I can't leave home without saying goodbye. It shouldn't be without to say goodbye because it is grammatically incorrect. Well, I've always been afraid of, or I'm so afraid of, driving in busy cities. Yes, it should be driving instead of to drive. Okay? And because of the preposition in the question words we use to make suggestions with, there is an ing form after. How about going out tonight? It's an offer we make. And we don't say how about to go out tonight. How about going out tonight? Because about is a preposition and it requires an ing form. Or how do you feel like? You know, like is a preposition here. How do you feel like making a presentation in English next year? Or when we are planning to do something, we might express ourselves using the verb think of. And we're thinking of going to Spain. We are thinking of doing something. We don't think something in general. Like, I think Ramadel Falcao is a good footballer. This is just a momentary plan. I'm thinking of going to Spain. And we can end up an email with the phrase I'm looking forward to. It's a phrase verb, which means I'm actually expecting. But if I use I'm looking forward to because of the last preposition, we should say seeing you again instead of to see you again, right? There are actually two more cases when we use the ing form instead of the to form in verb and verb structures. I'm going to erase this. In British English, the ing forms are normally used after the verb with the verbs of preferences. For example, if I say, I want some juice, I'm actually meaning I want it in the near future. But if I say, I like drinking juice, this is something permanent that I do. I like. It's a preference of mine. I like drinking. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. I like drinking juice. This is what I like doing. These are the verbs of preferences where British people normally use the ing form after, while the Americans prefer the to form after them. In America, you might hear I like to drink juice instead of I like drinking juice. But in Britain, I like drinking juice is the more common form. So after the verbs of preference is as like, or love, or hate, or for example, enjoy, or can't stand, or don't mind, prefer, of course, sorry, that's a spelling mistake I made. Now I've noticed it. Okay. After these verbs, you should use the ing form if you're keen on British English. For example, I love drinking coffee. I love going to parties. I hate gossiping. I really hate that. And what I hate most is not having many guests for my birthday parties. I hate not having many guests. Or not having many subscribers, let's say. Because I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy teaching English. I might seem a little bit shy and uncomfortable, and I am, in fact, to admit, I'm not comfortable being in a video, being pictured, but I guess I'll start liking it. I can't stand. What can't I stand? I can't stand listening to loud music. Or too loud noises, too loud music, too loud noise in general, like the one coming from outside. I don't mind doing favors, but it depends. And I definitely prefer teaching English to teaching German. Or the opposite, actually, I equally like them. Like, love, hate, enjoy, can't stand, don't mind, prefer are the verbs for this level. After, you have to use the ing form instead of the to form. And there is a third case. We normally use the ing form instead of the to form. It is with verbs of beginning, continuation, and end. For example, with the following verbs. use with the ing form or with the to form. For example, I can say start writing please or start to write please, but start writing is somehow more British. Stop. Actually, stop is used if you mean you have quit doing something. You should use the ing form only. For example, I stopped smoking. You might also say, an hour ago, I stopped to smoke. But when you introduce this to particle after the verb stop, it means just the opposite. You are answering the question, why? Why did you stop? I stopped to smoke. It doesn't mean you have quit cigarettes at all. So these are the two differences. So start, stop, begin, or finish. Require an ing form after them, as well as all the verbs which means continue. All the verbs for continuation. Continue being so good in English. Keep walking. It reminds me of Johnny Walker, but it isn't an ad. Go on reading, for example. I'm going to make some space. I think I've made enough. Well, unlike the to form that normally comes at the end of the sentence, as the previous sentence was, it is bad to drink too much alcohol. When you start up a sentence with what is bad or good for you, the ing form appears at the beginning. Drinking alcohol is bad for your health, bad for you. To drink doesn't normally appear at the beginning of a sentence, right? And there is one more thing. You might use having done something, this form, having done. Using having done something means after I had done something, after I had finished something. For example, having read, it should be a third form of the verb here, having read the letter, I learned the truth. Having read is exactly the same as after I read the letter. it refers to a past activity. Okay, there is one more structure which can apply here in verb and verb structures. What comes after the modal verbs, for example? I can drive a car. You are not only saying I drive a car and driving is my hobby. What you stress is an ability of yours. I can drive a car. We don't say I can to drive. You don't normally use this particle. Neither do you put an ing. Neither do you put an ing form after the verb. I can drive a car. So the bare infinitive forms are used with modals. For example, when we say what we can do or we can't do, will and won't, might or might not. I might come to your house, but I might not stay for that long. Or could, or should, or must or mustn't do something. Whatever the verb is, it requires just the simple form, do something. This form is typical for 3 more verbs. For example, make somebody do something. Yesterday, I asked politely, I made my husband wash the dishes. It isn't to wash the dishes, it isn't washing because it comes after the verb make. In the meaning, make somebody do something. We might help somebody do something. Help my brother do his English homework or do his project. And of course, with the verb let. The manager of the school here lets me record my lessons in her school. So after help, after let, after make, we have the simple, non-finite verb form. So this was our grammar lesson. What I would like is to write some exercises on this, but probably this should be done in another video. Now, I'm wishing you a nice day.